The interesting times, the interesting times, the interesting times, the interesting times. Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston and welcome to The Interesting Times, which is a show that likes to look at and laugh at UK politics. So the fallout from the crumbling roofs is still ongoing, and the more we hear, the less we like what's going on, including the fact that while our schools were taking part in their very own deadly game of Jenga, the Education Minister Gillian Keegan was on the hunt to find out who took all the credit.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on their arse and done nothing?
Wasn't clear who Gillian was referring to, but apparently this individual was spotted during school holidays taking a break when perhaps they should have been working. And she continued in her caring and sharing mode by posting this tweet. All the bedside manner of Dr. Hannibal Lecter on Atkins. This crumbling concrete, however, hasn't just been happening in schools or theatres, but in the Houses of Parliament. Yes, the centre for British democracy is itself at risk. And I understand for those noble, unselfish creatures, what the hell, let's just call them human beings, that reside at SW1A, I know you're all as upset as I am. But I think, at times like this, we should remember the good news. Ukraine has had it tough. What they needed was a lift. A military tactical genius and warrior. What they got was a fluent in Latin Wurzel Gummidge. Boris Johnson went there and received an honorary doctorate whilst visiting. As long as it's not valid in the UK, I wouldn't want to see him handling the scalpel, seeing how he's handled this comb. However, the Ukrainians did receive some much needed boost, at least of a genuine cerebral nature, when national treasure and, let's be honest, international treasure Stephen Fry went visiting and gave a reason why UK has such an affinity with Ukraine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a theory as to why we in the United Kingdom love Ukraine so much. Fill out a form. We press the little menu for country, and we have to go all the way down to the bottom for UK, and we're next to Ukraine.
It's a nice theory, but I think you're overcomplicating it. You have the UK, and what is it most famous for? That's right, rain. Just put the two together. It's like if you have a bunch of people that are and expect everyone else to act like they're servants, then that works too. And Ukraine wasn't the only battle Stephen Fry was prepared to dive into.
I mean, Stephen, it's been an extraordinary period. You know, COVID, Brexit, all of those things.
Brexit, we must mention Brexit. The Labour Party is afraid to mention it.
To be fair, the Labour Party as a whole may not, but Barry Gardiner, as an individual, which he certainly is, had no problem with it.
And he said, Barry, I just published an article in The Guardian, actually, about the customs union and about a customs union and the Turkish customs union and the different asymmetries and exactly how it could be. And Boris said, tell me, what is all this stuff about a customs union? And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, what is a customs union?
Honestly, he's been married 3 times and had numerous affairs. I'd be surprised if he knew what any union was. The latest Brexit bonus is a failure by our sovereign government to ban 36 pesticides, making sure that we're spraying crap on our food as well as pumping it into the river. We are now being described as the toxic poster child of Europe. At this rate, France is going to demand an exclusion zone. Hey, remember this?
Some people think I shouldn't be here, but it is more important than ever that we engage with China.
Turns out some people were right. There's been arrest of a parliamentary researcher who is accused of spying for the Chinese government and who had links with a couple of Conservative MPs. And the arrest happened in March, meaning Cleverly would have known about it when he went to Beijing.
Not just about that. It's also about finding ways where we can work together.
Yes, that's why we have these meetings. And the Chinese are lovely people. Even gave me this snazzy tie-pin and asked me to speak clearly into it. Secretary of State for Business and Trade, and woman as surprised as anyone about that, Kemi Badenoch went on Good Morning Britain to explain what this revelation means to the Chinese-UK relations. Nothing.
This is something that is very serious. The Prime Minister has himself spoken to the Chinese Premier. But as I said...
So you are going to veto China or you're not going to veto China?
I'm not going to be making that decision on breakfast television. It's something which we have to discuss.
I do wish they would stop saying that they're doing this for the sake of the British people, because if you really are all about doing what's best for us, can I respectfully recommend sodding off? As for the Chinese, they were only too happy to tell us what they thought of the UK. Not a lot.
What do China and Britain compete with? China is the largest manufacturer of automobiles. Competing with Britain? No. China is the largest exporter of EV cars and will lead the whole world in EV production. Is Britain a competitor? No. China will be the biggest and most important producer and R&D in terms of semiconductor in no time. Does that mean that China competes with Britain? No.
Whoa, okay, yeah, we get it. Well, you may surpass us in all those things, but we in the UK live in a democracy, so at least we get to pick our own leader. You know, sometimes. The last night of the proms has been facing some criticism. Why? Well, have a look at this, and before I show it to you, I should warn you, it contains some pretty upsetting scenes. Oh, the humanity! And the right-wingers aren't happy.
I watched the last hour. I couldn't bear it. My partner had to leave the room to see quite so many EU flags being waved.
The sea of EU flags, as always, in the last night of the proms.
And the aftermath of the Ramona hijacking of the last night of the proms.
Remember, the last night of the proms used to be this rather, you know, great celebration of what was great about Britain and what was great about being British and what was fantastic about Land of Hope and Glory, Jerusalem.
Yes, the great thing about Britain, Jerusalem.
This was a highly orchestrated operation.
Orchestrated operation? I blame these guys. And to make matters worse, they're playing in front of a bust of Jeremy Corbyn. Let's be honest, this is just silly. The Chinese have infiltrated Westminster, Russia is looking to extend its property portfolio, and they're up in arms about EU flags at the end of arms. It's fair to say that the British press are not best pleased about this. Even Rishi Sunak took a break from that whole economy crumbling faster than our school buildings nonsense and spoke up about the important things. And let's be honest here, nothing says open and functioning democracy like having an unelected leader telling its citizens what flags they should be waving. Besides, if you want to bring up disrespectful flag waving, how about this?
And we'll look forward in the future to working with you as sovereign.
If you disobey the rules, you get cut off.
Land of dope and Tory. And that's it. No time to talk about Jacob Rees-Mogg being touted as the next James Bond. And the thing is, I'm starting to quite like the idea. No, just hear me out. For a start, this role would mean a lot of work and a lot of filming. He would probably have to give up his GB News show. He would certainly have to give up being an MP. And bearing in mind all the unprotected sex James Bond has, Jacob would certainly have to modernise his thinking on abortions if he doesn't want to end up with having 6 kids. Oh, right. And they will probably have to remake a lot of the films. From Russia with a lot of love and a bagload of cash. Instead of a Dr. No, how about no doctors? Certainly under this government. And of course, there's For Your Lies Only, Live and Let Lie, Golden Lie, Lie For, The Lie Who Loved Me, Tomorrow Never Lies, License to Kill, and The Living Daylight. I think we got them all, didn't we? Do you expect me to talk? No, I expect you to lie. No time to talk about the football? Sure, why not? It was Scotland versus England in an ironically named friendly. This is the 151st annual celebration of the very first international between these two old rivals. The night started with a respectful observation of the national anthems. Although, as hostile as the fans were, at least the players were a lot more accommodating. No time to talk about Prime Minister's questions today, where Keir Starmer once again took the opportunity to metaphorically lay into Rishi Sunak.
Mr. Speaker, probation, prison, schools, China, yet again inaction man fails to heed the warning.
Inaction man, I'm going to put that straight into Wish I Thought of That file. All I've got are Rishi Robot, the Dickbot Despot, and man who came second in a popularity contest to someone who came second to a lettuce. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you are enjoying these vids, then feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you all Sunday. Take care.